Check. Check. All right. That seems to be working. Let's see. Okay, good morning. It took me quite a while to get my internet up. I was having some difficulty. Recently updated my iPhone and I run everything off of the hotspot because of our remote location. And so that was giving me a hard time, but I'm here. So it took me a little bit longer. I don't have as much time because I have to do the regular class here coming up at 9. So what I decided is I'm going to go through the basic punch training from Baji that we use in order to increase velocity and striking power, as well as some of the ones that I've developed from the same. Okay. Grandmaster Yarn told me years ago when I first met him that the reason why they made the bodyguards throw 1,000 punches a day is because it's the only way that you're ever going to get to the point where the very first punch you throw is perfect. And the goal of a bodyguard is to not have to do a whole bunch of punching, because that doesn't look good on camera, for one thing. And secondly, if you're there to protect a dignitary, you have to take care of business immediately. It cannot be postponed. So we'll go over a few of these things that we do in place, as well as some of the movements, the moving punches, the walking punches. Okay, so the first thing that I like my students to do during punch training is the Pigua whip hands exercise, which is a kidney strike on both sides. So you get very loose. And so the key to this is to get your arms like noodles and just let them go out. Let the blood rush to your hands. After you get done with a few of these like this, you're going to release. Okay, the feeling that you get doing those is exactly the feeling that I'm trying to get you to feel when you punch, okay? So the very first punch we're gonna do is a horse stance. And there's several different levels of this. And there's several different punches that can be used from the horse stance. First, we're gonna do the down spiral punch. So you're going to focus on one knuckle. That's it. Too much else going on is not helpful. So you're going to go from here, pardon me, you can relax. This is going to spin down as that one spins out. Now, if you can get to the point where you release the punch all at one time, in other words, what I mean is at the end, you snap into position right at the end, you're going to be able to focus your energy more, but you can also go through the whole range as an exercise that's separate from that. So I'll show you the difference. This one I'm using the full range. In other words, I'm spiraling throughout the whole punch. the other way, which is more focused. And so the idea behind this one is you're going to slow down and then release at the last second. So I'll go. Okay. Now you're going to learn how to use your core to bounce those punches off of each other, meaning multiple punches per rep. Start the other side. Okay, so what I'm doing there, in early stages, you should really emphasize the distance. So you're going to take your core as far back as you can in the early stages. Now you don't want to you don't want the back fist to go behind you or to get off the straight line. And this goes for all of these punches. If you have a secondary dimension to the line of travel, you're going to slow down your punches. And that's just the way it is. It's physics. Straight line. So, in other words, if I go back here, in order to come back towards the target, I got to go all the way around and then release. While that does add a dynamic of strength because you have more core motion into it, it takes away from velocity because it's no longer a straight line. And that particular punch should be done as many reps as you possibly can. So, and like I said, we train 1,000 punches a day, but they don't have to be the same punch. They can be, but they don't have to be. So when I say as many reps as possible, you know, you might want to try to get 6 out. Okay, that's 7. But you see what I'm saying? So you're going to get as many as you do those. If you could get to 10 on one explosion, then you're only going to have to go 10, 20, 30, 40, and up to 100, and then change to a different punch. If you do 10 different punches 100 times, there's your 1,000. Okay. So that's one of the most basic punches. I've been doing those particular punches since I was probably 5 years old. Maybe a little bit, probably about 5. As soon as I learned a horse stance, I learned those punches. And I didn't learn any other punches until I mastered those. In the old days, training was much harder than it is now. Okay, next punch. Now this is an uppercut. It's famous in Baji, but it's famous in all other styles as well. The key to this one is to allow the punch to stop itself and return. So I'm not snapping, excuse me. I'm not snapping my punches on purpose. I'm not stunting them. I'm allowing them to go through. What happens is they reach the end of my tendon. And once they reach the end of my tendon, they come back on their own, okay? This is best learned through sword techniques, in my view. Actually, spear, well, since I don't have my favorite spear here, I'll use this sword. It's easier to see with this sword because it's not a fixed combat blade. But when I say come back on its own, you have to project your energy past your weapon, okay? And so that tendons stretch out, and it takes time to get used to this. You'll get sore. I mean, God, every time I made growth with my punching, I started getting tennis elbow from tendonitis and all that kind of stuff. When that stuff starts happening, you got to go into the muscle, not the tendon. Don't massage the tendon. All you're going to do is make it sore. You go into the muscle and you get that muscle to release, okay? You got to do it daily because as you punch and get better at punching, these things are going to lock up a little bit. You got to keep them massaged. I like using BioFreeze a lot. It's almost always with me. Let me see if I can find mine. Here it is. Yeah. I don't know, some of you guys probably use it, but it's excellent. And no, I don't get paid to, to do any of that. Anyway, so here's my point. When I release the energy, so the energy goes all the way through, and I'm not pulling it back. I'm just allowing it to go. If you pull back, you're not going to ever reach terminal velocity. It's not possible because you're stopping your punch. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. All right, now we're going to get to the uppercut. Now these aren't just in Baji. We have these uppercuts in Liaho. And obviously Western boxers were a little bit different than the Western boxing version. So you're going to start, this is the point of release, drop. Okay, so you're going to let it go all the way up, boom, relax. All the way up, boom, relax. Now, I like to allow my knees to come up. When you're first starting out, especially in Shaolin Kung Fu, that's not proper form. So if you go to a Shaolin class, don't do my sloppiness in front of your teacher. But if you want to reach the terminal velocity, you gotta let it all come up. So everything moves up, your organs and everything. So the punch itself should get to the point where it's lifting you. And the same thing happens in Pigua. Whereas you know, the pinwheel motion, it not only lifts you up, but it also brings you back down to earth. That's allowing the energy itself to do the work instead of you. So the physics behind the energy, in other words, if you set something in motion, it continues of itself. Excuse me, I've been working with sawdust all week, so very clogged up. All right, next punch. This one is another basic one. This is horse to bow, and this is not the, well, you'll see, we're going to do several horse to bows. So you're going to put your hand here, relax, totally loose, no shoulders up, just down and relax. And you're going to grab and punch. You can do either standing or flat. Standing, flat. I'm going to do standing. Although, okay, I'll put it this way. Standing and flat train two different things. Standing trains a direct, high speed, high velocity punch. Flat from here allows you to learn Chensijing better. So, I'll face this way for now and show you from this angle. So here's standing. Okay, here's flat. Okay. Now, in early Shaolin training, again, the back foot is supposed to stay. Meaning, you just shift into a bow stance, okay? Baji, on the other hand, prefers to allow the foot to follow the energy. Depending on the size of the weapon, will change the distance your foot comes out. So if you watch Baji, obviously, many of you that have know that when they're changing direction from here, let's see, what part is it? Okay, yeah, right here. It goes here. And then here. Okay, so that's what that is. I don't go back once I've gone forward, unless I'm teaching children, okay? And what I mean by that is, if a training exercise has been advanced by either my master, Grandmaster Liu, or myself, and it actually is an improvement, from that day forward, I always use it. So every time I do horse to bow, changing sides like that, my foot comes out. So we'll go 1, relax, 2, relax, 3, relax, 4, relax. Okay, now, this is excellent if you have 2 partners. And maybe what I'll do is once my students come here for disciple class, we'll do a few of these with the pads. And that way, you learn how to focus and change intention, okay? Because you're looking straight forward, and then as soon as you turn your head, you see where you're going to strike, and that's the only thing that matters besides your breath. So the breath and the strike are the only thing that matters at that moment. Not the next one, not 5 more down the road. That strike at that time and that breath, okay? Okay, going into the next punch. Now you can do these in 2s, so that's what we're going to do next. You go 1, 2, 3. That time I kept my feet straight. That's training it different, not straight, but flexible, but my feet didn't move. It's training a different skill set. That's going back to what I showed you at the beginning, where you're using your core to bounce the punches out. So, okay, so you noticed when you use the core, you actually, your punches increase in velocity and power. Because, and this is not really a secret, but a key to experts in Baji is that the feet no longer have to move. Because in the beginning, you have to get to the point where everything's timed perfectly and everything has to move, okay? So, you know, you're gonna do 1 here and release. Everything has to move. But when you get to a certain level, you can get the same velocity and power out of just moving the core. And that goes doubly if you're doing more than 1 strike. Because the efficiency comes from the impact of the first strike, sending a shockwave back through your body and telling your core to release the next one. So it helps to be able to do both. So you know, if you do these, you can go here and then here, or and then just waves coming off of you. Okay. Next one. And these are all on my master's basic Baji training video. And there's more on there than I'm going to do today because I want to do some from Leo as well, because that helps with your ability to increase speed again. And I don't necessarily mean velocity in this case, although velocity is always number one. But I mean speed of sending rounds out, you know, repetition. Okay, so the next one, the short thumb. This is a very powerful defensive punch, but it's also, every punch in Leo hook praying mantis is both defensive and offensive. So I'm going to stand here. Now you'll notice in a lot of Leo hook praying mantis videos where they do the short punch or down tray, they step into it. That eliminates the whole entire point of what I'm trying to teach you with the core right now. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the same bouncing technique that I was using with the horse stance punches. So I'm going to allow this to go here, this goes here. Doesn't have to be any higher than your ear because you're trying to prevent cuts on the eye. You want the top of the head to be exposed because they have to have a target and you have to have a ramming point. So what I mean by that is when I'm coming in, I'm going to ram with my forehead as I'm striking at the same time. Something's going to get through. Okay, so here's how I practice these. Okay, so when I say defensive and offensive, I mean if you're throwing punches and they're hitting you with the short thumb, and generally they'll be hitting you on top of your arm, you're not going to be throwing punches for very long. It tears you up. Your arms get to the point where you can't even close your fists anymore. And it's effortless for who's doing this. Also, it works very well during a walking pattern, especially if you do it in opposition. So, and all of these do, but this one in particular. So if I go here, works very well. Okay, so that's another one that we do. So as you can see, you're starting to build up a whole repertoire of different punches that you can do to try to, what's going on here? To try to make the 1,000 punches a little less arduous, okay? Now the famous Baji horse to bow is this one. And I always like to show this picture because although I play a lot of Baji, I won't ever get to the opportune point where I look as good as this guy. It's just not going to happen. He's better looking than me. That's my favorite Baji guy. All right. So here, again, don't close your hands all the way. Baji doesn't close their hands all the way because they don't have to. You get used to aiming with that knuckle and it closes itself. So even when I'm punching the bags, my hands are pretty much open because I've been doing it for so long. And we used to do a lot of knuckle push-ups and stuff like that with your hands open. That way you get used to that straight line of the bone. Okay? So this one, I'm going to allow my foot to turn. And I'm not going to step it out because I'm trying just to put the Chensa Jing into one spot. Now you can add the foot coming out. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying that I'm not going to do it first. And so I'm sure you've seen everybody do that. So that's another one. So again, if you do 10 of each, now you're starting to climb up the ladder. Okay, the one that we were made to do the most after every Baji class, back when Baji class was isolated, was the walking one punch. Several different versions of that. We can go over that real quick. Let's go on, Stu. Come on in. My internet screwed up this morning, that's why I'm still rolling. Actually, I could use yours after you get dressed for hitting some pads. How's your week been?
Okay. You know?
Same as every other week.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go through these one punch walks. So the first one I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna turn my foot and I'm going to slide in. No fanciness. Turn my foot. Okay. Second one I'm going to do is charging step only. No stomp. So I'm going to stand up. I'm going to grab earth by spinning my heel in midair. And yes, I said in midair. Don't touch the ground with your toe first. That'll only slow down your punch, okay? That is to be done in the first version. Second version, you don't do that. Okay? And you do those walking, like I did the first one. Third version is going to be the stomp and the charging step. Sometimes students have an easier time with the stomp than the charging step, or vice versa. So what I do is if a student's having a hard time with one or the other, I teach the easiest one first. To me, the stomp distracts, but that's because I've been doing Baji for so many years. And so I no longer stomp. Third walking punch is going to be punch, punch, without a pullback. You can join me if you want. This is more shocking.
I just need an hour to warm up.
Go to sleep. So, this one is, now you don't have to stomp. You can if you want, if you need to. I recommend stomping if you're in the early stages. You're going to get slow to here. You're going to do charging step, charging step. All right, where's the pads? Where's the black? Oh, black pads in the truck. Man.
Your keys, I'll get it.
Yeah, it's in the back, underneath the wheel well. There you go.
The big pad?
It's the one that doesn't hurt your wrist when you hit it.
Okay.
The splat. So that's that particular punch actually I would argue is the best absolute punch in the world to learn the 1-inch punch. Just my opinion. But because that one is actually the 0-inch punch because you don't pull back at all. So I released, I'm out extended as far as I not am. So I just let it go again with my body only. How's it going?
Morning, Mr. James.
Everybody's groggy today.
I spent a long time in Cleveland last night.
Oh, did you?
Didn't get back until like 30.
Yeah. I gotta get up there here shortly.
We were there for the Cavs game. And one of my buddies that lives out there was like, hey, you guys want to come out? All right.
I suppose.
I said yes like a dummy, and then I'm paying for it this morning.
Well, okay, cool. Now there's enough of us who can do a few things and then I'll go off there. You ready?
What are you doing? I will stay on. Yeah. Yeah. Lay out, lay out. Where are these? Good morning, Master James.
Good morning, John. Okay, so I'll have Anthony hold the red one and Stu hold the black one. All right. So I'm gonna face the camera this way, and you got it on both sides. And not too far, because I'm not traveling. So when I go this way, and then relax. So when I was talking about, you should do these punches with partners. You can do one guy, that's fine. Or actually, Stuart and I were talking last week, if you take two of the punching, here, I'll just point to it with the camera. See the punching bag over there? If you take two of those, they call me in the morning. No, if you take two of those, you could do this by yourself. But that could be costly. I think they're like $100 a piece. All right. So this will give you more focus. So your intention is here first. And I'm going to go from here to there. So you don't want to close your fist because it slows it down. Is that coming through too much?
No. Okay.
That one sucks. That one's pretty good. Okay, so that's that one. Then the other one, I only need one guy. You walk. So his job is to, let's go to that. Or we'll just do a few this way. So his job is not to try to stop you. His job is to, you hit it, then he steps back with the other foot. So you go, that's perfect. Try not to charging step on top of his foot while you're doing it. So I'm kind of stepping off to the side. So like I said, all these can be, and then the 1-inch punch, we'll do that one real quick. All these can be done with or without, let's get a little closer. With or without pads. One is having a hard time. I'm going to use this side, see the mechanics of this. Now the key is, this foot has to go as far as it would if you were doing the full punch. So if I'm doing full punch, that foot goes there. But the hand's already there. So you just relax, keep the focus on the top knuckle, the number one, and then just go. One more time. All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful week. I gotta let it keep going for a few minutes so everything gets on. For some reason, it's been acting up. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. There's a nice view. I can turn off the sound for sure. Oh, sound's done. Hello. No, it's still picking up sound. That's weird. Well, as soon as we see it, flag there. Working on Baji Style again. I'm excited. Yeah, I came here and I updated my damn phone probably 6 days ago. And I've been having a hard time with everything, like text messages.
Well, I never updated my phone. That happened to me before.
Really?
When I updated my phone, I started having nothing but problems with it. So now when every update comes in, I just say,
Well, I had to because my banking app wasn't working anymore. It's like, oh, you can't, we won't allow you to use this app unless you update to Mac OS.
There's a lot of them like that.
I'm like, damn. They probably didn't want me to update the banking app. So
I had to
I don't
go
know that the money was gone.
I had to go to a morespyingyou.com to update my phone. It was the weirdest thing. I had to sign away all my privacy. They wanted access to all my pictures, even though they already got them.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I was doing the different punches. So I wanted to do a little bit on Facebook and YouTube. It took me an extra 45 minutes to get that damn thing. I had to turn off and on my VPN. Oh, we gotta go over the, you and I especially, we have to go over the Cannon Fist.
Oh, okay.
The end of it. I gotta remember the end, but, cause your master was asking me about it. I wanna make sure I do it correctly.
Yeah, it's goofy. The end. I was watching it on Jimmy had out there.
What did you get out of it so far? Just the end of it. So go to here, like,
Yeah, it was, yes, we turn, I don't remember which direction. This way, alright. So then from here, it's. Here. That's where I fall apart.
okay, we'll have to watch it.
Yeah. Even that doesn't feel right, what I just did. Like, I know, like, I kind of walked through.
I think when you do this, you gotta turn and go that way.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
don't remember. I got a video of it, but.
Is it on your phone?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's.
Cause I have a hard time
It's on,
finding mine.
it's doing, maybe on YouTube. On Mel's.
Oh, yeah. Well,